And here to talk about those new and unique trends in the fashion world is Natascha Radclyffe-Thomas. She's a course leader in fashion marketing at the London College of Fashion. She's also the recipient of several awards, including the National Teaching Fellowship Award and Best British Designer at the Junior Fashion Awards. Thanks for joining us, Natascha. Asia has traditionally been known for manufacturing knockoffs. How is it now moving into the creative side of the industry?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. I mean, I think that's a bit of the traditional rhetoric that we've heard. But if we think about kind of the roots of fashion, which are in textiles and technique, if we think about as fabric like silk, that's a historic Chinese fabric. So I think whilst fashion is a big business, in the last 50 or so years have seen the manufacturing hubs growing up around Asia, we've actually also seen the development and kind of renaissance of some of those traditional skills in Asia. And I think if you partner that as well with the fact that a lot more students of fashion design are traveling around the world to study, we're seeing some really interesting kind of hybrid ideas around East and West fashion.
Well, how are European and Western brands adopting Asian fashion?
Well, I think probably in the last 15 years or so, it's been one direction, which has been Western brands expanding into Asia. And as part of their marketing strategies, quite often they've referenced kind of Asian cultures, particularly going into a big country like China. And a lot of that has slipped into what we might call cultural appropriation or kind of overuse of chinoiserie motifs. But I think with younger designers, they don't recognize that as their own culture. So designers coming out of Asia are kind of reclaiming some of the kind of motifs and fabrics and silhouettes of their own kind of regional history and also the craft techniques, and they're bringing those with a new fashion sensibility and moving from kind of costume into more fashion and design.
Well, who do you see leading the way for this?
I think it's been really interesting. There's those, and we're not just talking about design, but I think if we think about the wider areas of fashion production and we look at someone like the photographer Chun Man, she talks very much about working with a kind of Chinese sensibility and using Western techniques. And there's quite a few designers who work in the same kind of way. We see someone like Huisheng Zhang, who takes Chinese historical motifs like dragons, which could be seen as a cliche, but he takes them and uses them with a kind of informed sensibility and reproduces them with beautiful techniques to create modern fashion garments. And I think that's the main difference we're thinking when we're thinking about design and fashion as opposed to that kind of costume and dress up.
Well, it was great having you on our show today, Natascha. Thank you so much for joining us on Showcase.
You're welcome.